don't need an agenda, which is really cool. Like normally, like I'm like, oh, you've got to set an agenda, and I'm just like, today
Nice.
we don't because we can just like freestyle completely. If you've got like questions, like feel free to jump in, but there will be time at the end. So always include this slide in your slide deck. That's my rule. Obviously, company values. This is about seeking improvement, and again, this is more of a personal goal for me. The more you practice your presentation, the more you practice standing up in front of people, the easier it is in terms of like I'm very casual and don't get super nervous. I think if I did a bit more practice and a bit more prep and a bit more rehearsing, I think I could deliver more of a polished presentation, but that wasn't really needed for today. So it was just the act of practicing. So design inspiration, that's like such a big topic. Where to start? Where to start? So I decided to start with color. And at the moment, I've just got this thing with flowers and I travel quite a lot and I can't stop noticing flowers. And I've got my new iPhone and I just have to stop on all my walks, all my runs to like take pictures and just having appreciation for like color. And I know that's really weird, but it takes you all the way back to when you did art and not design, where like the choice of color was like such more of a demanding or thoughtful thing, maybe. Nowadays, when we're working on the web or product design, it's like, oh, the button should be green because we want to convert, or the button should be blue because that's our primary color in our design system. So just looking back to like things that inspire me. Books. Lots of people read books. I haven't. I've confessed this to the team before. I haven't read a book for about 3 years, which isn't best practice. You guys do you. Some people read 3 books in a week. That's just not where I get my inspiration from. But it was in the past. I used to love the library. I've read a ton of books over the last like 15, 20 years, but it's just like nowadays I don't have the discipline to do that. And if you guys do, go for it. But it's just like it's not right for everybody. And I find myself watching more like YouTube conferences and inspiring talks rather than actually sitting and reading a book. So there's no right and wrong. Next thing that inspires me is the products that we use every day. And every time I see something, I'm like, wow, that's so cool. So Facebook have done a lot of new stuff this year already. They've introduced this new top bar. They moved to this kind of like more of a chromeless container like layout thing, meaning we've got a left and a right column, and then we've got our center main column, which is the feed. But like the left and right column don't have containers, they don't have borders. Another thing that I love about their UI at the moment is how big those big clickable hover targets are. So in the top bar, they're not just the icons clickable, like there's a whole big click target. So that was just something that's like a trend that I'm seeing at the moment. Other things like these popovers, I don't know why I like them, but they just seem so consistent. They're anchored all at exactly the same height in the viewport. And then this little animation on the profile button, it kind of like on active, on click, it actually like morphs in and then like blows out, which is a tiny like micro interaction or animation, but something like when you're designing and when you're writing code and stuff, you see all this. So that's just like something. Next is like, it's truly mobile friendly in terms of like, they have an amazing native apps, mobile apps, but they also don't cut corners in terms of just like making it work. This I just threw in here, like, what if our driver profile screen looked like this? Meaning like a big map hero up top. We don't even have uploadable avatar like photos for our drivers right now, but that'll come more and more as we have dual facing dash cams and that kind of stuff. So that's just some random inspiration. Looking at Twitter, very similar. They've done loads of work over the last 18 months. I really like their UI. It's a lot more simple than ours in terms of functionality, but again, the bigger type, the high contrast, the big click targets, I just really, really like it, and just the responsive nature of it. MailChimp, I've spoken about MailChimp quite a bit. Their UI, why I like their UI is mainly because of like the macro white space and the typography, and minimal use of color that really draws your attention to specific things in the UI. They also have this like nice way to kind of onboard yourself. Like MailChimp is mum proof. It passed the mum test. I can set up an account in MailChimp for my mum. She can go create a draft newsletter and stuff like that and engage with her customers. So that's just like a good product. Their table's a baller in terms of functionality and responsive nature of it, having the fixed columns, having a column picker, bulk edit, all that kind of good stuff. I wish our tables were as flexible and usable as that. And then moving on to like new things. I'm into TikTok. I think TikTok's actually brilliant. I still sort of, I don't really know how to use it very well. So I don't post that much because I'm still trying to like work it out. And I even YouTube like how to do this on TikTok kind of stuff. And why do I think like using new products like this is important for product design? Because very much like Snapchat, they introduce so many new gestures that the next generation are going to be familiar with. And we need to learn those gestures. And when we're building products for that market, we've got to understand their understanding or their kind of the way they want to kind of use products. Meaning we build products for drivers who are mainly male and over 50 years old. That's they have very different understanding of like different gestures and different patterns. And I think I always look at new products because I kind of want to get ahead of the curve. And if you've ever used Snapchat before, the first time you use it is like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do. And I think sometimes like brands and products position their UI in that way because they want to be seen to be innovative and doing something new. A bit like Tesla and the Cybertruck, right? Elon Musk he's going to alienate a lot of people with the design of that truck, just from an aesthetic perspective. But he's done it because he wants to position Tesla as a brand, as a leading light of being at the bleeding edge of the industry. And that's part of the brand play. So even though like some people are like, I don't like the look of the truck, I get it from a brand perspective and how he wants to position the company. Other things like Kevin Hart on TikTok, honestly, it's so funny. He doesn't even have many TikToks, but honestly, he makes me laugh so much. So going back to design inspiration, like I always look at people and I did a call with one of my Detroit friends who's at Amazon now. He's a senior engineer there. And we just kind of catch up talking about tools and struggles and what different companies are like. And having a network within the design industry to reach out to, one, when you've got a problem, but two, maybe just when you need to have like a reset and like a good chat about like design and get excited about the industry again. So like hold on to people who like uplift you, people who challenge you, people who like push you forward and like make you accountable, right? Share goals with people and that'll make you more focused to actually achieve them. So this is a dumb picture of me. It's a long time ago, but this is San Francisco over here. And I live in like Dogpatch, which is the other side of the city. And I was like, I'm going to run to Mill Valley today to meet a friend. And it's a long way. That's a long way. That's very scary. So I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't had people like Devin pushing me to do like challenging dumb things and pushing what I thought I was capable of. So that's that. Fashion is the next thing that I find inspires me from a design perspective. So I don't know if you can see me or if you're just looking at the presentation. Okay. Yeah. So new race day shoes. I do a lot of shopping. I don't need new shoes, but I've got this pair too. These are not worn either, and these aren't worn. So I've got 3 pairs of running shoes that I haven't even worn yet. I don't know why I do it, and that's not really the point. But the point is communication through clothing. Like what you wear, a lot of people either put thought into it or say that they don't put thought into it, but actually do. And from color to texture to like style to the way you wear it or what you pair it with, you are communicating a lot through what you wear. And I get very inspired by that. And again, like TikTok and Snapchat, I like to put myself in areas like music festivals, Burning Man. Don't take this the wrong way. Hopefully this is politically correct, like gay clubs and things like that. Because they're the really like leading cutting edge of what fashion is. And yeah, it looks really unusual today, but next year everybody's going to be wearing it, and it's going to feel really normal. So I find that like just an interesting thing. And then like just going back into festivals, like there's just like lots of like so many interesting people wearing interesting things that just spark discussions and break boundaries and break norms and break themes and break patterns. Why is all black cool? Why does all black mean you're a badass? How did Levi jeans move from like the gold mines into the boardroom? Do you know what I mean? Jeans were a working class piece of apparel that were hard wearing, that were were worn to do like heavy work in. But nowadays, Levi jeans are seen as a fashion brand. So there's these like transitions and things that I follow in life that I find interesting. Why do I care about what I wear on race day? I shouldn't, but I do. So I would be lying if I didn't say that I was not materialistic or not aware of these things and patterns, colors, fashion. It's all interesting to me. This is an article with my favorite DJ called Dixon. He wears very unusual things. Why is it? Because he's famous? Because he wants to be different? Because he's like plays very obscure music? I don't know. I think it's probably a little bit of all of the above. But what I really wanted to highlight here is like when I travel to different countries and even different cities, like when you go to a nightclub in Detroit compared to San Francisco, people wear different things. And I find that just like really, really interesting. And I don't really know why, but I do find it interesting. Next is also like this slide is about like art and what's art. I just think ideas come from like new experiences. So like getting out there, going to if it's music or like actually art, I just find that's like a good way to get visual inspiration in a slow manner. Meaning I'm not going to Dribbble to search for date picker because I'm designing a date picker. That's very like an immediate piece of inspiration. Where I find art for me is like more longer term. And that's just like something. And then there's like actually going to events, and then there's actually like going out on the street and engaging with artists and seeing what they're doing, which I think is like super fun. Other inspiration, music. So when I'm actually doing design work, meaning in Figma or writing code, like obviously music helps with focus or motivation or just general morale. My favorite thing to do is go on SoundCloud and actually like dig for new music that maybe nobody's heard yet or that I know a friend might like. The one thing we lost was the lovely packaging and all the artwork when you're actually buying stuff in real life. And I do really miss the record stores. I still go record shopping. I like the physical objects. My brother just got me this cool clear vinyl Arctic Monkeys limited edition piece, which comes in a lovely like dual folded sleeve, and it's just a lovely object. So sometimes when I want to be inspired from a visual sense, I'll just go to the record store and look at a bunch of covers. Dribbble. Dribbble's good, but it can be a time suck, again, unless you're looking for something specific. But for me, like these kind of weekly warm-up things, I've been quite kind of motivating. I've only done one so far. I did one for Valentine's, and it's really bad. But just the act of posting to the web and not being scared of what feedback is, and things are always going to, like if I'd spent more than an hour on this, I could have made it a lot better. But it was just like time box something. I said to the team, I'm going to post something on Dribbble tonight, and I went home and posted something on Dribbble. So I think that's like just stuff. Be a sponge. This comes up a lot, and it always reminds me of this blog post. And this blog post is from 2006. It's by Ben Terrett, and I remember meeting Ben in London. And when I was starting my career, like I definitely admired him. I definitely was a fanboy, and it was almost to a point when I actually met him, it was sort of awkward. But anyway, what's the design disease? The design disease is basically you can't turn stuff off. So I started the presentation with flowers. Now I'm looking at flowers and appreciating color. I can't turn that off. So every flower I look at, I'm like, okay, I like that color, or I don't like that color, or should I get a photo? And the design disease is exactly that. Like how when we're driving, we look at road signs. Why is it designed that way? Why is it that color? Why is the type not bigger? That label doesn't make sense to me. I'm not too sure if I should go left or right here. What's the speed limit here? When we go to a supermarket, or how do they do the wayfinding and the signage in a grocery store, or an exhibition, or a museum? Like all of these things are designed and thought about. And once you start thinking about all these things, it's really hard to turn off. So like every drink I drink, every snack I have, I like look at the packaging, choice of color and pixels and language and that kind of thing. Read that post if you get a chance. I haven't read it for many years, but I remember it being good. This is about like challenging yourself and being inspired by putting yourself in the deep end. I don't know if that's quite inspiration or it's motivation, where I set myself a goal. I'm going to write 4 blog posts this year, and there are my 4 blog posts done by March. If I hadn't written that goal down and shared it with friends and family, I wouldn't have got that done. So that's just like something. And the other thing I'm like super aware of about like being a designer in the industry, Dribble's great, but like case studies are way better. But also there's like this other element of being a designer, being on a design team, working for a tech company, that Dribbble or a case study doesn't necessarily like cover those bases. And I think blog posts or writing is an opportunity to communicate some of the learning and some of your approaches and processes to your work. Close. So close, over the coming weeks, we're going to be using Design Chat a lot. I kind of want to see you guys post loads of stuff. Never worry about noise. People tell me about noise on Slack, and I think that's complete bullshit. Just scan through it. I'll tell you what's way more annoying is when you have way too many Slack channels and you have to click around and bounce between loads of things to make sure you've read everything. So don't worry about noise. Post as much as you can. Inspire each other. And that's it.
Nice.
Good job, Karsten. It was wonderful.
Good initiative. I like this.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
No, it's an absolute pleasure.